Claudia, thank you so much for joining us at the 2021 Forbes DACH Women Summit. It's a delight to have you here with us.
Thank you very much for having me. Happy to be here.
So as I understand, you're Director of External Affairs at Philip Morris in Germany, and part of that role includes managing the communication and creating a public dialogue. So walk us through what the day-to-day life of your role looks like.
It's a surprise every day. It comes from the very different topics we're dealing with. So it's really regulatory aspects of our products, is aspects of sustainability, or the fighting of illicit trade, very different aspect. And then we are in dialogue about those aspects with politics, media, science, and the broad public. So the daily work we are doing could be coming from interviews to strategic discussions about how to deal, for example, with a new government, to what I really appreciated in last week's awards that we give, for example, on our social responsibility projects, to a very personal leadership discussion with my management team. So it's a broad variety of things. It's never getting bored.
I think that when I say what's a daily life like in your role, it's also really tough right now because we're still in the middle of this crisis and the pandemic. And I wanted to know, what would you say has been the biggest internal transformation at Philip Morris? Because the way we've been doing business beforehand, those templates, we cannot simply apply and use them now in the future.
Yeah, you're so right. So altogether, we were in the biggest transformation of our history, going from conventional cigarettes to alternative products. That was the transformation we were in already when COVID hit in. For us now, in our daily business with our stakeholders, the ones that I've mentioned before, but also in our sales and commercial activities, have just changed so much. And we are trying to maneuver with some new guidelines, really thinking is how can we secure health and safety of our colleagues? How can we make sure that that what their daily struggles are in Corona times, and that they can manage it, that we respect it. So it's something in between trying to focus on the job while giving flexibility to everybody to deal with the daily craziness of work in Corona times.
Claudia, you're not only Director of External Affairs, you're also a member of the Management Board. And in that sense, you do have that deeper insight into leadership and the lessons that you've learned. Actually, you've written about this topic quite a fair bit, and I want to take your words. You said that leadership doesn't happen in a vacuum. The culture of a company is the starting point. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, so first of all, it is something that is moving, and I think that we as a management team and leaders in all hierarchy levels of a company have to work on every single day. We cannot let go. And of course, it's always affected by the outside world. So it's really the struggle, being in a context, being in an environment, and then having certain aspects that are from the inside. And I think that is a chance and a risk. For us, for example, we are a very international company. You've mentioned it. It is something in our DNA that we appreciate, and we really want to flourish to make sure that this is something that we keep also for the future. And then there are maybe aspects where we say we are not that good, and therefore it is good that impulses are coming from outside criticizing us. I see our function especially as a membrane that is also sending a lot of signals from outside to our organization, saying how good are you on different diversity dimensions within the company? How good are you really in listening to the consumer? How good are you in dealing with aspects that are expectations from the environment, for example, on topics like sustainability. So it's a constant developing, evolving, and in all times being true to yourself on what kind of leadership and also role model you want to be.
Where have you felt that the company has maybe fallen short and could do better on?
We've had struggles when we look at the different diversity levels, for example, in gender equality. We have really put that as on our focus list over the last years, and we really made it up. We are the first international equal pay salary certified company. So we guarantee that women and men get paid equal. I think this is something where we looked into the KPIs and where we really saw that we have to beef it up, because we are quite confident that it's diversity that is bringing us forward as a company. And this would bring us maybe to something where we fell short in doing our business. When we first launched new products, we were still in the old world of doing business, where over 170 years we had experience, and we were the market leader, quite successful. With new developments in the markets, new expectations from consumers and the public, we will be able to really do corporate listening. I think something essential for all corporates.
And so are you saying that during this time, because there is so much transformation going on, that we could be using this opportunity to further advance, say, opportunities for female leadership or inclusion efforts?
For sure, we have strong targets for our organization in Germany, throughout Europe and the whole world. So we, especially if we go to the higher hierarchy levels, we really need to beef it up. Still, we are good, but we need to get better. But we may want to make it an equal play kind of thing. What we just announced, I think half a year ago, is that we are now giving 2 months of continuous payment for either man or woman, whoever goes out to take care of the children. So having an equal playing field here, because we feel that also young men more and more want to get into the role of being a father and staying at home and having the safety of salary that comes in. I think in Europe we are quite in a good situation here, but all of the other countries around the world, this is something that really makes a difference. And I think there's more to come. And if we look into to new dimensions of diversity enrolling, I just had very interesting discussions about the background from a social point of view. So are we sure that we are being equal to everybody coming from very different backgrounds socially? I think we are quite good with ethnicity, but for example, are we having enough KPIs to really look into the details also on aspects like sexual orientation or identification? So I think there are just continuous things to become better and better. And maybe to sum it up, the struggles we have all together, the transformation, are huge, and we want to take the challenges, and we really want to go forward. This is in a time where business is all together in a high pace. And all of those struggles, we are quite confident, can only be solved when corporations are really standing there in a very equal manner between people of different sex, generations, and other aspects. So we feel comfortable that really driving the cultural transformation, driving the diversity transformation within our company will support our business transformation altogether.
And as someone who is in a position of management, you've been in senior positions for the past decade, what can the benefit of hindsight and your past experiences teach you?
I really I like challenging times, and I think those are really challenging.
That's good to hear.
I think Corona is something that really showed us it's all about empathy. And I think if we look into developments, we have just coming out of COP26 in Glasgow, where we looked into sustainability aspects. We see that there is just much more for a corporation to meet up to and to grow up to and to develop to. So I think empathy is not only something of leadership and of dealing with the people and your external stakeholders, but really also dealing with other challenges, with expectations of the public. So taking the time to rather step back, to listen, to experience from other people's experiences, and to take the very different aspects to either make improvements in the way you're doing business, in your products, in your services, or in your leadership is something that is essential. And
just as context for everyone who's watching and doesn't know, you were actually a journalist post 9/11. you were also working at an energy company when the Fukushima disaster happened, so you're no stranger to crises.
Yes, yes, and they all made a lot with me. So you mentioned it, journalism in times of 9/11, being stuck in that newsroom just for days and days, and not being able to understand what's happening and trying to give as clear of a picture to the public as possible. Later Fukushima, trying to answer all of the questions from the public, and then eventually, especially from your colleagues who wanted to know how the company would evolve after their plants had been shut down, is something where you see that at this kind of membrane, like I called it earlier, between public and business, there is just a lot to maneuver and a lot to explain. So yes, I've been in quite some interesting situations. And I think it's very important to stay to quick, to very kind of ongoing and strict guidelines for yourself that guide you through all of those moments where you say, for example, in Corona times, it might be new things coming every day, but we stick to the rule of wanting to protect everybody. So that was kind of our guideline. Back in Fukushima times, it is nobody's going to lose their job. It might be different, but this was kind of the guideline. And so therefore, I think that is something where one needs to make up his mind, remember what he said the day before and the month before, and with this is able to maneuver to any of such situations.
Claudia, we've unpacked so many topics, and I think that the next time there might be even more questions that arise, and we're still trying to figure things out. But if you had to take away some learnings from this year, what would come to mind? And it can be personal or professional.
First of all, it's a very nice thing to see that at the end we are humans, we want to meet each other, we need each other, and we want to be in connection with each other. I think we've seen that when doing business, but especially within the companies. And I think it's showing us as companies, especially in a world where future generations will have portfolio CVs, they will do a little bit of this and this and this, that we will all have to try to become the companies and corporations of choice for our employers. And we have to work hard to do so. And at the end, this is when we are the space where people feel comfortable in coming together and see each other. Then empathy is key. Always trying to get a feeling of what others feel, and trying to make conclusions from it, both in business and in leadership aspects. And then I guess we have to be open to change. The world is a constant change, and this is now no surprise anymore, but we just are seeing it when you guys are organizing this wonderful conference, and from one day to another you would now not be able to meet in person, change aspects. It's a constant change, and I think we have to stay open to deal with those situations, especially to make sure that we are not getting disappointment with situations. So I think the last months have taught us that it's on us to make sure our resilience is high, that our mood is good, not only the ones of our teams, of course, but also our own. And I think this is also something that I see now for the fourth wave coming up, that we need to take care of ourselves in those changing worlds, and therefore always be open to change and to transformation.
I think that sums it up very nicely, because change and resilience are going to be core themes of our Forbes Women Summit. So thank you very much for sharing all your insights, Claudia.
Thank you very much.